Hello, hello, my fellow art nerds. Welcome in. Nice to see you all. Today we're going to be drawing clothing folds, and not drawing, actually painting. So quite a challenge for me. Welcome in, everybody. Okay, so you know what? You guys voted for uh, me to create digitally today. And I am still learning and brushing up on my digital techniques. So just thank you for your patience. I will be using KRITA today. And let's start off with some of our challenges. So if you didn't know, our monthly challenges are something that are, really fun to do. Every month we have a challenge on the Discord. And this month's is summer outfits. And so our streams are actually designed to help you create artwork for these challenges. And if you do create something today, then definitely share it on either Instagram or Discord. Submit it on the Discord for a chance to be featured. I don't know if you know this, but our mission at Wing Canvas is to make art education easily accessible to everyone. And so we love to work with art nerds. And if you didn't know, art nerds really, we found a really great community. And most of us are on the Discord, and we're not just a school, we're actually, we're not just a YouTube channel, we're actually a school of illustration. And so I want to personally thank all of our amazing patrons who support us in making free arts education content. Whew. I'm a little out of breath today. I just taught a class, and so I'm in a little bit of a rush. But if you do end up creating, definitely share your artwork at Wing Canvas. We're on Instagram, we're very active on Discord, and we also really, we really appreciate our members on YouTube and Patreon, because without you guys, we wouldn't be able to make these free streams. So definitely consider supporting us on the Patreon. So some of our cool perks are you get monthly live class recordings from our classes. You get to see all of our videos ahead of time, and artwork from streams. You get the digital artwork files from our live streams, and you get to hang out with the creators. But for this month only, we have a special promotion going on for our membership, and you can get actually live critiques. So if you support us on Patreon, even at the lowest tier, which is $2 a month, you can participate in our live critiques with our creators. So these are the times that we go live. Jesse Wednesdays, Iggy Mondays, Josh Saturdays, and myself on Fridays. So if you do want to experience a live critique, definitely check out our membership. All right, so let's go back and look at some of the winning challenges. So our challenge for this month is summer outfits. So if you haven't got that in yet, definitely submit, because we feature them during our streams. And let me show you the stuff that I selected for today. So this one, Red the Wolf. Red the Wolf. Let me know if you are in the chat, if you're here today. This, summer outfits, we didn't say it had to be on a human, so I think that this is really fun. Nice pose, nice expression on this cat. Love the angles. And I had a cat once. I tried to put some clothes on her, and she hated it. So but I really like how you designed this cute little outfit. It goes really, really well. I love the complementary colors. So shout out to you, Red the Wolf. This is a really cute illustration. Thank you for submitting. Let's see. The second one is by Umi. Umi, I thought that this piece is so cute. I love the background. I love the sentiment of it, and I love the little bread dog, or the little creature next to the character. Just such a cute little duo. And I thought you did the clothing really, really well because it's very simple. It's not too complicated. It, you know, has just the right amount of folds. It doesn't really get in the way. That's something we're going to be talking about today, but just like very simple outfit and very, very cute illustration. So thank you, Ume, for submitting. Also, thank you for being a member. And our third submission, I believe the artist is in the chat. Squeeze Squiggle Doo. Nice work. Thank you for submitting. I think this is a really cute illustration. Love the parrot. Just also love the sentiment. Great job on the muscles, like on the arm anatomy. That's tough. And I really like how you put some of the blue in the arm, you know, considering the background color. Like that's also really hard to do, and you did it really, really well. Good job on the patterns on the clothing too. Like that's really hard to do. So great job. Thank you for submitting. All right, so today I'm going to be working digitally. This is pretty new for me. You know, I work in all mediums, but I've been a little bit rusty with digital. I've been kind of switching programs around a lot. So now I'm using KRITA. I used Photoshop for about 15 years, and then I stopped subscribing to it just because I don't use it that often. And so now I'm using KRITA. I did use MediBang mostly for teaching, but yeah, I'm still learning KRITA. Any KRITA users in the chat? Let me know. Because it won the poll. So I put out a poll. We put out polls every Thursday and Friday for our weekend streams. And I just wanted to know what you guys want to see me create in. And I overwhelmingly KRITA won the poll. So listening to you guys, we will be creating in KRITA today. And some of you also said watercolor and gouache. So watercolor, I have a special surprise for you guys. I might be doing some watercolor collage. We'll see how much time I have. But today we're going to be painting clothing. But before that, I just want to quickly show you some notes because I don't have time to do a lot of drawing and explaining, you know, how clothing folds, you know, interact with body parts in complete detail. But because I want to be spending the time painting and rendering, but we do have a video on that that Jessie made. So check that out. It's really, really informative. It covers all of the different textures and different types of fabrics. So I just want to quickly go over some things to keep in mind when you are drawing clothing folds. And, you know, clothing also has gesture and proportions. Right? Even though these are some of the things that are mostly related to figure drawing, clothing will interact with forms underneath it, right? So some things to think about is you want to avoid repetition in folds. I know that there is, you know, repeated elements. For example, if you're drawing like a pleated dress or something like this, right? There will be repetition in some of the folds, right? But down below here, you want that to be less repetitive, right? Because repetition really kind of kills dynamic looking drawings. So avoid repetition, try to use variety in shapes and lines, and consider using a lot of overlaps because they show the most depth. Some simple folds to keep in mind. You know, you don't really need to know all of these, but there are a few folds, a few main ones. A drop fold is if you're kind of pinching fabric from the top, right? So if you're sort of pinching it here, you can see everything sort of drapes down, drapes downward. So that's something that you want to keep in mind. And then if you are, if you know, have ever seen this type of fold where it's kind of draped on 2 points, this is called a diaper fold. So that means a lot of the folds would kind of be in between these, and you can see that there are still there is still repetition in terms of how the shapes relate from the left to the right. But you can see, you know, for example, this shape is a little bit longer, this shape is a little bit shorter. And then even with these folds, like if you're going to emphasize some of the lines, right? You can have one line be a little bit longer, and then maybe here this line is longer at the top and shorter at the bottom, so that you consider your variety. Diaper fold, who named it that? Yeah, I know. I didn't name it diaper fold, but that's what it's called. The other thing you want to think about are pipe folds. So pipe folds are basically folds that kind of do this, right? They kind of like wrap around a form, and you'll usually see it in dresses, skirts, things that have like, you know, these are intentionally pinched like this to create this type of drapery. But again, if you have repetition at the top, consider making it more random at the bottom. And the last thing is, you know, how do your folds interact with forms? So typically speaking, there is one side of a limb. Let's just talk about arms and legs for a second. So if you're drawing arms and legs, one side is going to be extended and the other side is going to be compressed, right? So the folds are usually where the compression happens, right? And so if you think about, you know, just a very general, illustration of these called half lock folds. You know, I wouldn't really draw too many. I would draw maybe 2 or 3 to express that there is compression going on there. A lot of people will do too many, right? Like if you kind of do too many folds, it starts to disrupt the illustration. It's kind of like less is more, right? You want to keep it simple, and you want to, you know, maybe make them all a little bit different. Again, they all sort of fan out, you know, moving away from the area that it's pinched. And then if you're wearing like a suit or something, like a stiffer fabric might have folds that are a little bit more angular, you know, kind of like this. But if you are wearing like a wool sweater, or if you're wearing something that's like very flowy or silk, or something that's like very, very smooth, then the folds will probably be more circular, right? Like more organic, kind of like that. So you want to consider the type of fabric that you're using, or that you're illustrating, whether it's stiff or whether it's soft. So that's also gonna affect the way that it's drawn. And then if you are shading or cross-hatching, some of the things you might want to keep in mind. So I love cross-hatching. Let me know if any of you guys have ever cross-hatched before. We teach it in our drawing foundations classes, and it's a good way to learn how to shade. Any cross-hatchers in the chat? I'm getting silence. So cross-hatching is kind of annoying. Okay, Victoria. Nice. Broken wing seal. Nice to see you here. Welcome in. Droll Fox says, I love cross-hatching. Okay. So a lot of you guys understand cross-hatching. So cross-hatching is kind of one of those things that is really helpful to learn, especially when you're drawing clothing, because it can, you know, really help you think about shading and not just values, but your direction of line. And so when you're shading clothing, you know, you want to shade in the direction that it's wrapping around. Especially with fabrics, right? Like if I was shading metal, if I was shading metal on a cylinder, I would probably like shade it up and down, right? But if I'm drawing fabric, I would probably shade it this way, right? Because it just makes more sense. And so it actually really helps describe the way the fabric is rolling or wrapping around the fabric. And so this is a class demo. We did some fashion drawing, and you can see you can do some really, really quick shading techniques with chalk. But the main lesson in here is to consider how you want to express lines, because lines have rhythm, lines can show overlap. And lines can also showcase your style, right? So I'm a big fan of using weighted lines, so like lines that have rhythm and lines that you know, kind of appear and disappear, because I can see a t-shirt here. Even though I'm missing some lines, I can still like my brain knows that that's a t-shirt, right? So we don't necessarily have to put dark, heavy outlines around everything, because that tends to make it a little bit flat. So if you do want to use line art, you want to consider, you know, making your lines a little bit more open. Okay, so let's move on. Let me know if you guys have any questions about folds in general, because we will be talking about, like, I'm actually going to be painting an illustration today. And I said so in the Discord, but I have a very old OC that I've been thinking about recently, and I'm going to use him as my character today. So this is Sealboy. The story of Sealboy is he is an orphan. He was kind of abandoned because he grew up with a funny face. And so he joined a family of circus performers. And here I would say he's probably an adolescent, probably like maybe 14-ish. And I want to create a new illustration of him today, but more when he was like a toddler. So like more, he's like 2 or 3 years old. And I have this idea of what I want him to look like. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. All right, let's see here. So this is a summer outfit stream, so I will be starting on a bluish background. And I think I'm gonna start by sketching out my character and kind of a pose for him first, so that I can build on top of him later. So when I came up with the character of Sealboy, he's kind of a chibi. So he's got like a sort of like a platypus looking face. I actually have a reference of him here. So he's kind of got this platypus, or this elongated face, or seal-like face. But if I'm going to draw him as a younger character, I probably want to make his head or his face a little bit shorter. And then I kind of pictured him standing there and enjoying a popsicle. And if he's a seal, he's going to kind of be chunky, like a little chubby, with like a big belly. It's kind of how I imagined him. So right now I'm just kind of building the pose and the body. And I picture him wearing overalls. Because I just think overalls are so cute. It's very impractical, but it's like super cute. Any of you guys wear overalls? I think I wore overalls when I was like a teen, maybe. Maybe when it was fashionable at one point. Yeah, I don't know, like it's kind of always still in fashion for kids or babies just because they're so cute. But yeah, if you're drawing along, that's awesome. If you can apply this type of you know, lesson to any character, or if you just want to pull up a reference and study clothing, like that's fine too. I'm just kind of working out the pose right now. I kind of want him to be eating a ice cream, like a popsicle, and like that popsicle is going to be shaped like a fish. And I always associate summer with like frozen treats. It's just, you know, I think that's the best thing about summer. And the best thing about winter is like hot treats, like having a hot chocolate after shoveling snow for 2 hours. Yeah, he's just a little guy. I know we draw like a lot of you know, adult characters on the channel. And so I wanted to draw more of like a childlike character with slightly different proportions. So Sealboy is just kind of was born with a seal face. But he's still a boy. He's still human. He still has, you know, feelings, and he's just, whoops. He's just kind of got a funny looking face. Personally, I think seals are really cute. But his story is after he joined this circus, his special skill is he's a really good swimmer, like really fast swimmer. So he has this kind of slippery quality to him, and he can get around really quickly. So that's kind of his special talent. That, and also he's really cute looking. In terms of the references I am working with, I just found some basic references for the type of clothing, so the overalls, and like a sun hat. I kind of imagine him wearing like a summery hat. You know those sun hats that have like the flaps on the side? Something like that. You know, I've had this OC for a long time. I kind of made up 12 characters, like way back when I was studying illustration in school. And these characters are actually based off of a story by Ray Bradbury called The Illustrated Man. And Ray Bradbury has these like very dark stories. And I won't really get into the story because it's kind of loosely based off a character named Sealboy, but I kind of in the story, in the actual short story, there was no description of these characters at all. It was just their names. So that's all I really had to work with. Is, you know, how do you imagine a Sealboy looking like? So it's kind of chubby, got lots of rolls. He's really cute. Thank you. Okay. So, I like to start out with just like very loose sketches because I'm still trying to kind of figure out exactly what I'm drawing, what I'm doing. So I start off with like just like a very loose sketch. I like the idea of him wearing like an actual like a formal kind of golf shirt. And I'm thinking about adding some texture with watercolor. So sort of just planning it out as I go. So if you're drawing overalls on a kind of like a chunky character, right? Like his belly here. Then because overalls are kind of loose fitting, the legs would also be, it would kind of go down straighter, like it wouldn't really wrap around his belly. That would be uncomfortable. And, you know, I'm just thinking about a few things. Like I'm looking down at this character, right? Like if I'm drawing a child, I'm going to be looking down at them. You know, if I'm drawing like a superhero, I would probably be looking up at them. So considering your perspective, that also has a lot to do with how your clothing folds in general. Oh, are you doing a Sealboy too, Sanga? Yeah, you're definitely welcome to draw along with my character if you want to, but this will really work with any character. So he's definitely going to have a grin, right? This kind of like happy grin. And I am kind of changing his appearance a little bit, right? This is Sealboy at age 3 versus at age 13. So he's going to be a lot more chibi. Hello, Lycan Arts. Welcome in. Hey there, Vin. And a big thank you to our lovely Joanne for modding and being here for all my streams. Okay. AA says, I adore this channel because it shows us everything within the process and technicals of buttons and actions of software. Thank you. I'm glad. You know, I'm still figuring out a lot of the software stuff. So hopefully you can learn from my mistakes and challenges. I mean, luckily, I just kind of Google everything to figure it out. I'll usually like ask Reddit or something, or ask our community. Okay, so there's kind of the pose. I do want to spend most of the time rendering this. And although I really, really want to start on his face, I feel like it would be better to actually draw the clothing first. And then if I have time, I will finish the character. But I'm just gonna kind of keep him on a loose sketch. I love strappy sandals, especially like on kids. I think it's so cute. So my plan was to give him these kind of strappy sandals. And I'm probably not going to give him realistic fingers or toes. I'm probably just going to keep it really simple and not shoot myself in the foot because I ran out of time. All right. Dee Dee says, someone help. What can I help you with? Okay. I should probably figure out what his hands are doing. I even got some reference for that. I'm probably only going to give him like 3 fingers though. And give him like wrist rolls and stuff like that. Okay, so let me just do a cleaned up version of this first. So I'm not sure if I really want to keep my line art. So what I'm like, I don't know if I want my final illustrations being like really line art heavy. So I think what I'm gonna do is just start to paint in like a shape or like a silhouette. So I'm just choosing a fleshy color, but I want some of that blue to show through as well. So let's get a big brush here. Some questions in the chat. Does anyone know who has made an updated Clip Studio tutorial? I know we made one. We have one on the channel that's like pretty long. But yeah, we are actually going to make some more clip tutorials in the future. So if there's a specific thing, you can always let us know on our Discord. We have a content suggestions. We have a content suggestions channel where you can go in and let us know what kind of tutorials you want us to make. I really like painting with this kind of chalky texture. I think it's really cute. I think it's like very painterly, you know. And it's funny because all of the artists on our channel have sort of a different style. I know Iggy is a lot more painterly. Iggy is more painterly. Josh is more painterly. Jessie likes cell shading. She's got a really cool style because she's a comic artist. And I like to keep things painterly as well. I'm not very good at the super crispy, cartoony style, although I really admire that type of illustration. But I really like the kind of whimsical looking illustrations like of Quentin Blake. He's probably one of my favorite illustrators. I really like Joe Soren's work. Big admirer of his work for a long time since I was in school. Somebody like an art said, anyone who can draw toes or feet has my respect. My feet literally look like nubs. You know what? It's okay. I think that, you know, nubs are fine as long as they are in the right place. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. We do have lots of videos though on drawing hands and feet. So you can check those out. There's a method to it. That's, I mean, there's different ways, different approaches to drawing arms and feet, but I usually, like when I'm drawing an OC, I'll just sort of stick with nubs, nubs that are in the correct position, you know? And I don't actually use a lot of brushes either. I just use like kind of pastel like soft brushes and change the size. I very rarely use or download custom brushes. Okay, so this looks like a goldfish, but it's actually a creamsicle. Okay, that's what I that's what I had imagined. It's actually a delicious creamsicle, and he's just kind of taken a bite out of it. All right, so for his overalls, I wanted to actually use some texture, like actual watercolor texture. So once I finish up my sketch, I will flip my camera over to my traditional setup, and I'll show you kind of how I would paint some textures for digital collage. Anybody here create digital art and then like insert their own sketches or paintings and kind of work on top of it? Just catching up with the chat. I have an OC wasp. DD says I have an OC wasp that I want to make into the June challenge, but I don't know how I would mix a wasp and summer clothing. Well, I can imagine the summer clothing would be black and yellow. Yeah, you know what? Really, you want to take into account the character's personality, and also like if you're going to be drawing the character over and over again, then, you know, maybe don't make it too complicated, because if it is something you have to draw over and over again, it's gonna not be fun. Shira says, is that a ferret on the left top side? No, that is the OC that I'm basing this character off of. So my OC is Sealboy, so that's a character that's like probably 15 years old. And I wanted to bring him back and use him as my clothing model. So I'm just shifting the color a little bit here. Just kind of making the fingers and the elbows a little pinker. Just to give it a little bit of warmth in the character. And then the other thing I could do is bring back some of this blue. So, you know, if I wanted to bring back some of the blue, I might put it on areas where I think there would be some more reflected light. So maybe like on the tip of his nose and kind of underneath his eyes here. Okay. Oh, right. I forgot. I wanted to draw a hat on him. I totally forgot about that. Whoops. Okay, well, let's go back to my sketch here. So I wanted to draw a hat. And I know hats are something like a lot of people have trouble with. It's very, very hard, myself included. When I talk about people in general, I'm definitely sharing my experience as I was learning some of these things as well. I wanted to kind of draw like a soft hat. Because as a seal, I know seals like to sunbathe and such, but you know, they still need to protect themselves against the sun. So I think hats are, you know, the original sunscreen, right? So now it's kind of looking like an explorer hat, and I kind of wanted it to be more of a sun hat. You know how like toddler hats have these things that kind of hang down on the side to protect the face? It's kind of what I was going for. And then if you are drawing like a hat that's like soft and you want to put like a rim around it like this, right? I would advise drawing the cylinder first before the rim. Because otherwise it gets a little bit tricky. Okay, so oh, hey Marcy, welcome in. Marcy is one of our lovely editors. And if you've seen a wing canvas video lately, it's probably made by Marcy. So thank you so much, Marcy. We wouldn't be able to do what we do without you. Thank you for joining. I know it's like really late for you, so I appreciate it. And yeah, I got a new mic recently, and I'm really hearing some good things about it, so. Okay, so there's my hat. Let's go back to this drawing here. He's looking kind of silly. I'm gonna put my sketch on top there, just so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so what I really wanted to do is actually paint in like I thought of this idea of having like a sort of a watermelon theme pattern. Watermelon theme. Because when I think about summer, I think of watermelons and ice cream. You can see I'm on a food theme. I'm in a food mood. So I'm just gonna flip my camera over to my traditional I'm so sorry, guys. My mic wasn't set up on my traditional stream. Just a second. Can't hear me. Okay, hold on. One sec. Thank you for letting me know. Sorry about that. All right. Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, sorry about that. All right. So, what was I saying? I was saying that I have some old gouache here. So this is gouache probably from a previous class. And the nice thing about gouache is it can be reused, right? Watercolor and gouache, if it comes in tubes, you can kind of rework it. So this is just like this type of palette is actually really good for watercolor. I hate it for acrylic, but I really enjoy it for watercolor and gouache. So all I did here was just kind of sketch out some basic shapes. I sketched out like a hat shape and shape of overalls. And then I'm gonna put in like a kind of like a watermelon texture to it. And hope that it turns out well. And then I'm going to take a picture and use it in my digital art. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a wash of my red, so my like watermelon color. And actually, I should get out some white. So this is the gouache that I like to use. It's a Winsor Newton set. And this set roughly costs about $70. And it's quite expensive, but it lasts a long time. And if you get good quality pigments, then they... you know, they last you a while and they have better coverage. So I'm just taking out a little bit of white. If you're not familiar with watercolor or gouache, gouache is basically an opaque watercolor. So you can use them together. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of making a puddle of my pink and my red. And I like using big brushes to mix these colors because it just like holds a lot more color. And so the next color I'm going to make is a green. So I'm probably going to do the seeds digitally because the seeds are also, like if I did them traditionally, it may not work that well, only because the positioning of them would change depending on how the clothing folds, right? And how it's like wrapping around. So I'm going to save details like that for the digital part. Okay, so I'm gonna do a technique called wet on wet, and basically, can you guys hear my water? Okay, so basically what I'm gonna do is wet the entire section. So I'm gonna fill it with water. And then I will add the pigment on it so that it has like a nice wash. Yeah, I do have a noise suppression on this mic, so you may not hear like all of the noises, but there you go. So you can see that my picture is wet, and it has water on it. And so what I'm gonna do is start to put in some of that color. So I want the watermelon to kind of color to kind of be on the bottom. And I really like the way watercolor bleeds. So I'm going to use like some of the darker reds on the bottom. And then down here as well, I think I want to have, yeah, I want to have the bottom of the overalls be the watermelon. So if you're not sure what I'm doing, or if you just joined, I'm actually going to do some collage. I'm working digitally, but I'm going to be creating some textures traditionally, and then bringing them into KRITA. Because sometimes I find when I work digitally, if I don't have the right brush, sometimes it's hard to get texture. So now I'm just going to use a paper towel so I can control where the bleed goes. And then I'm going to start adding the green. So I do kind of like the pastel type of colors. So I'm adding a little bit of white and yellow to my green so that it's not like super unnatural looking, and more of this kind of nice pastel light summery color. So the green is just going to be right at the top. And if you do work like this, you may want to tape your paper down, especially if you're using paper that's kind of flimsy or thin, because it'll just make your paper buckle, and that's really frustrating. Right? You don't get nice bleeds when your paper is buckling. So I can always add texture later to the top, but I just wanted to sort of experiment with watercolor on top of that. So I'm gonna let that dry. And I really even like the texture of the paper is very cool looking. It kind of even looks like watermelon, which is nice, very satisfying. Okay, so I'm gonna let that dry. And go back to my digital part. So while I let that dry, I'm gonna do some painting on the face. So I don't know if you guys know of Eric Carle. He's like a children's book illustrator that uses collage. He did the Very, Very Hungry Caterpillar. Anyway, I love his work. I just love the texture and just kind of like the feeling of collage. So I actually did a lot of collage back in my art center days. That's where I went to art school. So I'm a big fan of collage and just like how satisfying it looks. There we go. So I think I'm gonna give him like a white shirt. I'm thinking about how I want the colors to kind of interact with each other, so I'm just painting in a white shirt. I feel like if I made his shirt colorful, it's going to clash a little bit with my my overalls and my entire watermelon theme. Dee Dee says, unlike you, Faye, I hate doing collages. Really? How come? Just the glue? See, I like getting my fingers really dirty. Yeah, there's just something about it that I love. I don't know what it is. Like, I mean, you could do collage digitally as well, right? You don't have to you don't have to do it traditionally. Like, traditional is nice, because, you know, you get more, you get like more edges, you get, you know, some of the imperfections, but working digitally is just easier. You don't get any of that mess, right? So whatever works for you. I know you're not supposed to zoom in while you're working, so so I'm gonna try not to zoom in too much. Traditional versus digital, art is art. It's true. It is really true. Like with digital, I was trained traditionally. I know a lot of modern artists now are trained digitally, and still, like, I'm pretty slow at digital. Like if I was painting, it would be very second nature to me, but because I'm drawing, it tends to be a lot slower. Sorry, I'm drawing digitally, so it's definitely slower for me. But you know, if I practiced every day, I would probably get faster. And I have to learn all my shortcuts because that's what makes it really slow. I know Jesse has been using, Jesse and Iggy both have a tour box, and it's kind of like a little gadget that has all of your shortcuts. And it sounds incredible. But I don't work digitally enough. I need to practice more. Oh, look, there he is. There he is, bright-eyed little guy. You taught yourself using Pinterest? You know what? The internet is good and bad for so many reasons, but the good thing is, yeah, you can definitely teach yourself. Like, I remember back when I was learning Photoshop, like, I paid like $200 a class for Photoshop, and it was like the basic, really basic stuff too, because it was new, right? And Photoshop was actually really not affordable either, and now there's like programs that are free, like KRITA, which is amazing. So yeah, it's come a long way. definitely. I wouldn't have, if you asked me 15 years ago, I would have not been able to even imagine how many tools we have at our disposal now. I need a different brush. Let's see. I've been trying to collect some brushes that I enjoy using, and I've discovered that most of them are just like my chalky brushes, because I like to draw on chalk. And so I find those really helpful. Do you guys have a favorite brush? Let me know. Especially like one in KRITA that I may not have tried. I'm on the hunt, so I would love to know if you have any recos. The number of artboards you have is astronomical, yeah. I actually stopped using Pinterest. I've been taking a break off social media, but I think Pinterest is awesome for artists. And for teachers too. We love textured brushes. Yeah, I know, like digital brushes tend to look really, they just tend to look really, really flat. So the textured brushes are great because it gives you a little bit more of that painterly feel back, you know? So I like that. And so now I'm just kind of painting in some of the shadows because, you know, shirt sleeves would cast some shadows. And I'm just doing some very, very simple shading here. I love how little kids have these fat rolls on their arms, like extra rolls. Oh my goodness, they're so cute. And I was like, if I drew Sealboy as a toddler, I'd be able to incorporate some of those rolls. So, let's see here. So I like to paint in the shapes and then kind of use my eraser tool to clean up some of those edges. It's just kind of the way that I like to work. Because I think the magic happens when you have soft and hard, a combination of soft and hard edges. And then also with the eraser tool, you can start to bring back some highlights. So, you know, if I want some cools on his nose or kind of on his upper lip, you know, I'm just using the eraser tool at like a low opacity so that I can bring back some of that background color. You know what? RPG, are you talking about my Sealboy being like someone who will kill in your sleep? Or your own character? He does look kind of creepy. Yeah, Sealboy. Yeah, maybe because he's bald. Wait till I put some texture on him. Wait till he's got this cute overall. Cute overalls on. Yeah, he's creepy looking right now, I know. Oh, okay. Here. Okay, let's see how my watercolor's doing. It's, you know what? I'll I'll flip my camera over. It's still drying, but like I love those edges. I think those are really, really cool looking, and I can't wait to put this in. It is still wet though, so I'm just gonna give it a little bit more time. You know, he's just happy. He's just happy about the ice cream. Just like really excited. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do is just put in some flat shapes here. I'm gonna start by putting in the shape of the overalls. So kind of like this. And add a color to it. I think the lasso tool is a really neat, just like a really neat tool in general, because I'm trying to think of whether or not I want to, yeah, I'll put this on a new layer. Because, it, you know, like I could fill this with whatever texture I want. Let's test out how good the fill tool is in KRITA. I'm just going to do like a light green here. I'm used to Photoshop like allowing you to save the selection. Edit selection? No, that's not it. Whoa, now he looks really creepy in this red. Right, so I'm just going to take some pictures of my watermelon so that I can insert it here. I just want to be mindful of the time here. So I'm just going to go in and take some photos with my digital camera. Of this watermelon texture and see what I can do to it. Let's see. Don't make Sealboy angry. He's happy, but sometimes, you know, happy, sometimes when like a character is happy, they look even scarier. I think this is something Jessie said in one of her videos. It's like, you know, you would think that a scary or mad face or like lots of teeth would look creepier than like a smiling character with like very clean teeth, but sometimes that other character is scarier. All right, I'm just going to upload this picture. And just realizing you've never put together more than 2 references. You know, like, references are really crucial. I find that, like, if you don't have good references, then you spend a lot of time guessing, right? And I think that that guessing it eats up a ton of your time. and also mental energy, because you're like, how do I do this again? What am I doing wrong? And so sometimes you just, all it takes is a very simple reference picture. All right, I have to... Oh, what can I do to save this image? I'm having a hard time here, just like getting this image to myself. Oh, let's see. I think my internet is at max capacity. All right, here we go. Come on, watermelon texture. I had thought about actually collecting some collage like images from magazines and textures like that, but I thought it would be really nice to create my own texture. There we go. Okay. I'm just experimenting here because I'm not quite sure yet what it's going to look like. But all I know is that I wanted to use some texture that's like outside of digital painting. And I love actually making traditional and digital, like mixing both of those mediums. I just think it's really fun to look at and fun to play around. Okay, so I'm just going to select this hat shape. And then cut it out of my watermelon texture. And then create a new layer. Let's see here. Okay, so when I have too many layers, I really should name these. Let's see. Okay, this one's my sketch. Let me name that. I used to be actually obsessive about naming my layers. Because I used to collaborate with other artists, like especially product designers. And so when I did illustration for packaging, I had to really name all my layers just to be kind and considerate to the person taking over my file. I don't usually, I mean, that's the problem with digital is like I want to keep everything, so then I use too many layers. And then when I use too many layers, it tends to get really, really confusing, right? So I know some artists like to merge and just kind of work on one layer. But I like to keep all my layers. Maybe that's not a good thing. Okay, so there's the watermelon texture. Let me just turn off the sketch there. And then I'll probably use a multiply layer on top of this to get in the shading and the lines. Okay, so next I will do the same thing with the overalls. So I'm going to move the overalls down here and transform it so that it kind of fits. Yeah, that's good enough. Okay. And then I guess I could just erase or make a selection. Let's see here. I'm just going to quickly select the shape. That was kind of messy, but it'll do. There we go. Oof, having to learn all my shortcuts over is brutal. Even like deselect, it's like 3 keys as the default, so I really have to program my shortcuts better on my tablet. Like every time you switch programs, right, everything changes and you gotta do that all over again. Okay, so I'm just erasing my hands. And then I think I'm gonna merge these layers. So I think I'm just gonna take off the sketch and merge I'm gonna merge all of these layers here. There we go. Yay! Now he's okay. Now he's on the right. Okay. Okay. So I like to kind of keep a light sketch on so that I can focus on putting in the values. And because clothing casts shadows, right? So I like putting in those shadows first because it starts it off nicely, gives it a nice like 3D feel. So right now I'm just kind of adding in shadows because, you know, a hat would cause some shadows on the face. And I want to do that before I put in my line art, as well as the bottom here. And it's funny because the shadow color is very similar to the watermelon, so I might have to choose like a bluish color for my shadow. So let's create a new layer, because I shouldn't have been painting on top of this. I should have been using a multiply layer. Oh, Jesse, welcome in. Yeah, oh yeah, I see that. I think it's not picking up my mic. That's what's going on. Let me just double check this. 1 second here. Is my mouth moving yet? Is it moving? No. Oh, hello? Hello? Nope. Yeah, I don't know. It's not picking it up, unfortunately. But welcome in, Jesse. Nice to see you here. Thank you. Thank you for the compliment, Mads. Yeah, Jesse, what's up? Thanks for dropping in. I am kind of struggling with KRITA here, but learning as I go. I know you're not a fan. Okay, so I'm gonna take like this bluish color and hopefully make some headway here with the shadows. Let's see. I'm gonna just put this on a multiply layer. Ooh, that was too dark. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's better. So if I was shading this traditionally, I would have to, you know, mix the exact color that I want. But because it's digital, I can just kind of use a multiply layer and, you know, add color on top. I mean, I suppose I could do this with watercolor as well by just adding a, you know, a thin layer of the color on top. But that's tricky because you really have to, like with watercolor in general, it bleeds, right? Like when you put color on top of something, unless it's gouache or acrylic or oil where it's opaque, it can be really hard to manage because you lift up some of that color and then it starts to look really bad. Or like very overworked. So I tend to not rely on that. So for the clothing folds, I'm really just putting in some quick shadows using the multiply tool. And you know, like his arm would cast a shadow, this arm would cast a little bit of a shadow as well. I'm kind of darkening my shadows, making it a little bit more blue. Yeah, the clothing color made him look almost creepy. Thank you. I didn't intend to make him creepy at all, really. Wait till I put the seeds on. Like those watermelon seeds. I swear, it'll make him look cuter. Okay. The nice thing about using a multiply layer is you can also remove it, which I can't say is very easy to do if I'm working traditionally. You thought it was a derpy dude. You know, it could be. It is a little derpy dude. Sealboy is actually human. He just looks like a seal. So blessed with a silly face. So I'm losing a lot of that green that I had initially planned, but hopefully, you know, you get the idea that the I'm just gonna bring his collar down, that his hat and his overalls are supposed to match. Okay, so now I'm just going to give him a little bit of a collar. Oh, I would love to draw a background for this character, but I don't think I have time today. Today I just wanted to focus on the clothing folds as best as I can in terms of painting, right? Because if I wasn't painting this, I would approach it really differently, but because I'm painting this, I'm trying to just not do lines. Like I'm trying not to worry so much about my my line art. So the shadows for white clothing and white outfits tend to be blue. Shadows for snow also tend to be blue. I really like just using blue as the shadow color because it's like really light. It feels right. It doesn't feel like too dark. It has color and it's like nice and cheerful. So I'm going to stick with my blue here. And then for the shirt, adding a little, just like tiny bits of folds that kind of wrap around the arm is probably what I'm going for. I don't want to overwork it. I just want to keep it pretty simple. Now just need to make the ice cream melt a little. Kids always take so much time that it ends up melting all over. Totally, that's a... Yeah, definitely. And like, I think, you know, making up lighting is also something that is hard to do, right? I think what I should have done is used a clipping layer instead of trying to not paint outside of the lines. But I'm gonna add a little bit of blue to the overalls, just like not using multiply, but just using just going on top of the layer itself, just because, you know, whatever clothing or color you end up using, it's always gonna have a little bit of that background color. Right? There's always gonna be a tiny bit of that blue. And I find when you're drawing kids in general, everything has to be really, really light. Otherwise, if it's too dark, it tends to look not as cute. So what are you all up to? Are you drawing along with me? Are you drawing your OCs, or are you just kind of studying, or maybe you are just watching and going about your day? Oops, wrong layer. You just came back from work. Technically, this is work for me, but I enjoy it, so it's a lot of fun. I always wish I had more time to draw, but I do get to draw on stream, which is really nice. And you guys get to see my mistakes and my struggles and kind of what I have to figure out live. Anyways, summer is coming up, and we have our summer intensives. Jesse is teaching comics and manga, Josh is teaching animation and illustration, and I believe the first week starts July 8th, and I will be teaching figure drawing. So that's what I specialize in. I specialize in figure drawing, portraiture, and if you want to study figure drawing with me, join my intensive. You can attend live, you can attend asynchronously. We also have a new hybrid model where you would get the class recordings every day. So Jesse's program is the hybrid model. And so the hybrid model allows you to get critique live. So on the last day, we have a live crit session where we go over all of your work, and you also get asynchronous feedback every day. So every day you upload artwork, we will do draw overs if you like them. If you prefer, I feel like a lot of people like draw overs because it you know, it shows you how maybe an instructor would approach your work, or it can help you, you know, correct some technical stuff. So with figure drawing, it can be very technical. So I think when I learned figure drawing, I got the most out of the classes where my instructors would draw on top of my artwork. But I know like some people don't like that, so it's really up to you, whatever you're comfortable with. RPG says, I was watching another artist the other day talking about animation of clothing folds and how adding more folds would make the drawing more tedious. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why like animators are so good at simplifying stuff, you know, because like if you simplify stuff, it just makes it, in my opinion, it actually makes it more appealing. Because you're not, you know, like less is more. That's like a design principle that I keep going on about. But I mean, we tend to overcomplicate things, mostly beginners that, you know, because we're like a little bit unsure about how we should approach certain things. And like, I think that's okay. I think that, you know, it's easier to simplify your drawing afterwards. Like, you know, if you put in too many folds, you can always delete some stuff. But if you can kind of keep in mind that simple is better and you don't always have to follow the reference, you also don't always, you know, need to put in all the details, just the details that matter. Broken Wing Zeal says, have there been any classes that covered 5-point fisheye perspective? Yes, actually Jessie, I think she did a stream. We have a whole perspective series. And yeah, 5-point perspective is like really cool. I've actually never tried 5-point perspective. Maybe it's something that I'll try one day. And critique is super helpful when you can't figure out what's wrong, but you know something is. Yes, and thank you for being a member, Broken Wing Zeal. I really appreciate all of your support for the channel. I'm glad that you find the critiques helpful. Because personally, like, I've taken a lot of different programs, and I just think whenever I can see an instructor draw on top of my work, or show me what's wrong, because a lot of the times, like, you know, you've been working on a piece for so long, you kind of get tunnel vision, you know? And it's hard. I mean, there's a few things you can do. You can always ask a friend. You could ask someone on our Discord. So if you want critique, but maybe you can't afford classes yet, you can always just go to our Discord and ask. We have amazing people on our Discord who offer their time for free. If you want professional critique from our creators, then you can become a member. And our upcoming critiques, I believe Iggy's critique is coming up on Monday, and then Josh, and I'm always on the last week. So my critique is on the Friday, like the last Friday. Jessie's is first, so she just had hers, and I actually asked Jessie for critique this time because she had the time, and it was really helpful. I was stuck on a piece for a really long time, and she was able to give me her perspective. Yeah, it's a 2-hour video. Maybe we'll turn that live stream into a speed paint or a video so that it's a little bit less long. Okay, I'm just putting in some seeds. I know that, like, okay, so when I eat watermelon, I like the seedless ones. But if I'm illustrating watermelon, I will always put in the seeds. Like, without seeds, it's just not cute. You know? It's not like you are doing realistic drawing, and most people do a mix of real and exaggerated drawing. That's also a reason why AI is better at doing realistic drawings, because of the database. Yeah. It's a little scary how good AI is getting, but that's a topic for a different day. Okay, so now I'm gonna put in some details. I'm putting all the details on the seeds layer, actually, just because I find that they can all kind of go together. Just some of the, you know, the stitching. Like if I didn't have this this example of the overalls in my reference, I would not know how they are sewn, right? Like I don't specialize in making clothing. So a lot of these like really cute details I would totally miss. So that's why it's really helpful to have references, because then you can actually kind of, you know, reference the parts that you're just like not as familiar with. Like we can always recognize when something doesn't look right, but it's hard to know why, right? See, this character was kind of scary in the beginning. But yeah, I think the cute clothes really help make him a little less scary. I'm also going to, I actually merged my layers, but I made a copy of my merged layer so that I can experiment with adding a bit more saturation. So you can see, okay, this one is more saturated, a little bit brighter. But, you know, maybe I want to calm down some of those areas, you know, like the blue here. I don't want it super saturated, so then I can always go back and erase it. So that's kind of nice when you have like a copy of your layer, is you can kind of get some of that stuff back. So it's not super saturated. Like if I want his face a little less saturated, I can always erase that layer on top. Right, so typically the areas that would be less saturated are the parts that are in shadow. So probably where his legs are, they would be a lot less saturated. Toasty Bone says, without the seeds, it looks like a pink jello. Yeah, I guess it would. I know, right? Like the seeds are everything. So when we genetically modify things that they're not, you know, um, what we've grown up knowing watermelon as, it's not good for illustration. Okay. I should really draw in the sandals, because I don't have too much time. Oops. Which layer is this on? Is it on my sketch layer? Okay. I still draw on the wrong layers. Oh my goodness. Okay, so his clothes are like too white. And I think I need to add some more pigment, some more blue. I say pigment, haha, it's digital. I'm actually adding light, not pigment. It's funny when you think about like digital being that you're painting with light and not pigment. The color wheel and everything is going to be different, right? So the color wheel that I'm using right now is actually RGB. So it's actually additive color, not subtractive color. So subtractive color is when you're actually, you know, using pigment. And so when you mix colors together with pigment, it becomes darker and darker, right? So when you mix pigments together, it's darker. But when you mix light together, it's lighter. If you hear the clacking, that's my undo. I haven't set a shortcut yet for my undo, so it's just my keyboard. Okay. So let's look at this shoe reference here. I'll just pull down my shoe reference. Unpopular opinion, but the rind is best part of a watermelon. Really? I guess the health benefits, or you mean you actually like eating the rind? Then I'm really curious now. Do you actually like eating the rind? Because my uncle used to when we would play together and he would tease me, he'd be like, okay, I will eat the most, like the least nutritious part of the watermelon, and you can eat the most nutritious part. And so obviously he was talking about him eating the red part and me eating the green part and the white part. And that would drive me crazy. It actually tastes good. I know it's good for your skin. Like you can take the rinds and you can kind of give yourself a facial with it and stuff. I know like in some like some Chinese herbal remedies. They use watermelon for when you have like a sore throat. So like they make lozenges out of watermelon rinds. So I am not going to put heavy line art on this, but I do want to show a little bit of detail. So I think I'm just going to use my shadow layer. To kind of do the line art. I mean, technically it's not really line art, but should I do toes? Maybe, eh? Maybe I should give him some toes. Otherwise it looks like he's wearing skin colored socks, which is not which also like would make him look scary, right? Let's give him some toes. Oh, snap, I did that on the shadow layer. I was wondering why it was so dark. Every time I eat watermelon, I totally give myself a facial. You know what else is really good for your skin, speaking of food and skin and stuff, is banana peels. Apparently, if you rub banana peels, it gets rid of skin imperfections. My grandfather read this in a newspaper, and so every time I eat a banana, he's like, save the skin, save the skin, and then he'll like rub it all over his face. He has really good skin though. Like if you saw my grandpa, he's like in his 90s, and his skin is so nice. But he hasn't been doing the banana trick for a long time. I just thought it was funny. Oh, hello, Kofer. Welcome in. I am illustrating an old OC of mine. This is Sealboy in his summer outfit, his kind of watermelon outfit. Very happy about eating his fish creamsicle. And I don't actually have the time to finish him today, but I will probably continue him. Maybe I'll see you guys on the Discord, and I'll just kind of finish up this illustration before I post it. But yeah, it was fun. I had a little bit of trouble importing the watercolor texture, but you know, it's something that I really like. Like for example, if you look at his sandals, they're very flat looking, whereas the texture on his overalls and the texture on his hat is kind of, you know, different, and it has like a papery texture that I really like. So I really enjoy collage mostly for the texture. So a lot of my older illustrations have that combination of collage and painting. And I just like mixed media in general. So I find that it's just really fun for me to do, so that I'm not, I get bored of using all of the, you know, the same medium over and over again. So I like to continuously experiment, and you know, my students give me a reason to do that. So anyway, yeah, so summer is coming up. Check out our summer intensives. I'm teaching figure drawing in July as well as August. And thank you so much for, you know, all of your support in helping us make art education easily accessible. That is our mission at Wing Canvas, is to make art education easily accessible to everyone. So if you become a YouTube and Patreon member, you know, your monthly support helps us do that. Also signing up for classes, you know, our classes are limited to 12 people and mentorship is limited to 6 people. You get a lot of individual support, individual critique. We spend a lot of time helping our students pinpoint their areas that they can improve on. And so if you become a member, you can also get critique from our creators, as well as monthly live class recordings, and you get to see all of our videos ad-free ahead of time. So sometimes they are director cuts. And yeah, definitely if you do or are interested in joining the Patreon, this month would be the best time to do that, because we have live critiques. And so live critiques, you submit your artwork and choose which creator you want to work with, and they will give you a comprehensive critique as well as drawovers for our VIP and OG Art Nerd members. And if you were drawing along with us, we would love to see your artwork. Please don't forget to submit for this month's challenge, which is summer outfits. We would love to see your creations. There's so much I want to do to this little guy. I want to make his ice cream melting. I want to, you know, maybe in my sketch I had, you know, wanted to put in like a little tongue, but I'm not sure yet if I, you know, if I want to do that. So, you know, thank you for being here. Thank you for all your support. And don't miss Jessie's stream. Jessie's going to be streaming tomorrow. And the topic of her stream is designing summer outfits. So you will get a chance to design a summer outfit for your OC, and check out some of the resources in our I think we have a playlist on clothing. But if you Google Wing Canvas clothing or Wing Canvas fabric, you will find some helpful tutorials. There is a video on all of the ways you can draw texture and clothing folds and how to approach them. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.